Now, why would there be a speeding limit? Excuse me. Why would there be a speed limit in the first place in a free country where there's freedom ringing constantly every day? Well, it's a means to regulate our freedom, actually, and financially cripple those who want to but cannot afford to believe that we are free. Yes, to keep the roads safe? No. If they wanted to keep the roads safe, they would pour some of that tax revenue into fixing our crumbling infrastructure. Maybe hire someone who knows how to use a level instead of lining the politicians' pockets with it. Why would there even be a monetary fine rooting from a concept of anti-freedom? And un-American as a sign is telling you what to do, how to drive in a free country. Obey this sign or else, because it is a means to widen the divide between the rich and the poor. The rich can just throw their plastic card at a problem and it goes away. The poor have to deepen their struggles, encumber their burdens, and fight for survival just to make it to work tomorrow. And now they have to deal with something asinine, like a fine for driving, like a free person in the land of fucking freedom. I understand the don't drive drunk argument, but I've heard of people on their 15th DUI. Now, why is that? Because of the segregation of class warfare. The rich punishing the poor for being poor. The rich ones with all the money are obviously in control, but the sufferers, the working class, the poor, can't just throw money at their financial problems and somehow can't just throw their money at financial problems. And so someone in severe distress may be driven to drink and then drive drunk, a mistake made from the suffering caused by tyranny. There's a flash of red, white, and blue behind him, and he gets his first DUI. Now, the suffering worker, as his struggle deepened, his burden is heavier, so he starts to drink more often, to compensate for the taxing of his overwhelmed existence. At that point, taxing his spirit too, to numb the pain. And so begins many a downward spiral. Keep in mind, taxing is an ambiguous word, taxing more than just our hard-earned income. Back to speeding tickets, shall we? You ever seen a red light camera that takes a picture of your vehicle and license plate and yourself? If you don't stop behind the line at a red light, if you go a little bit too fast to be considered whatever terminology they use to seem offensive that you're driving that way. Move a muscle over that line, you get a nice ticket from your local government in the mail. A few weeks later, they're in fact unconstitutional and detrimental to freedom, believe it or not. Want to know why that is unconstitutional? Well, let me tell you. Well, obviously that camera doesn't have a badge and a gun, or even an official police precinct distinction for that matter, like a police officer has a marked vehicle and a uniform. The nitty-gritty is this: to be served a ticket for a traffic violation, it is required to have a law enforcement witness at the scene. Last time I checked, a foreign company's camera is neither witness nor a law enforcement officer, thoroughly invading upon our rights to privacy at the same time. And yes, many of those cameras are made and installed by foreign companies, making backdoor deals with your local governments. Guess who gets a big chunk of that revenue? The very same foreign company. How shocking. Of course, your local red or blue puppet in office probably gets a slice of the cake, and they don't want to share it with you. They even have speed tracking signs to spy on your movement. They take your picture too if they want to make it look like you were speeding down at the editing office at the city precinct. They do not care about your freedom or your rights. They want your money. And they want to lock you up eventually if you can't pay their racket. They don't want you to know any of this. So we just thought about the corruption, coalescence of currency, government, police, traffic cameras, and our rights to privacy. What do you suppose they are doing with all of this data? A person with more than 2 brain cells would at least bring up companies like Google or Facebook Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc., and mention how they amass hordes of our personal information and sell it off like it was theirs to begin with. Which I certainly would not put it past the government to do that with our data after buying it from their corporate cohorts. Do you want to know what they've been doing with all that data? Well, they're building a file on each and every one of you. I believe it to be very intricate, but knowing them, it's probably as rudimentary as being labeled in two categories: brainwashed/compliant, or a critical thinker/threat. Why in the world would a government by the people, for the people, be labeling critical thinkers as a threat? Do we not have freedom of speech? What about freedom of thought? What if I told you how deep the corruption really goes? Would you still trust the people with the party color neckties? Would you still wave their flags and wear their stupid merchandise like your favorite sports team? Remember this, politicians are not your friend. They are inherently deceitful suits that will say any goddamn thing to get you to believe what they say and buy your vote. Come to the red side. We hate children but love fetuses. Come to the blue side. We also love children and fetuses. As long as it will make you forget about what the last clown in office had, you all divided and arguing over. No. It appears that we have stumbled into the thoughts about governmental deceit, data mining, looting, and selling our data and spying. You guess why the Amazon and Google devices respond when you say a certain keyword? It's simple. They are constantly listening to every word you say. Now apply that to your laptop, smartphone, you carry in your pocket, everywhere with you, everywhere you go. I think it's basically a fucking GPS in your pocket, telling them where you are, listening to every goddamn word you say. Every time you open your fucking phone, they see you. They see you. They hear you. Taps have been running for a long time. Anyway. Where was I? Except the NSA and the FBI do not need a keyword to respond through your device, because they won't do it. They just want to hear every single word comes out of your lips. And they do hear every single word through their spying. The taps have been running globally for quite some years now. When was the first phone made? When was the first landline network put into place? Certainly not in a lot of your lifetimes, not even in mine. I was born without a cell phone in my hand, though, I have to say. Guarantee it, the technology that our government use, I guarantee it, the technology that our rogue government was hiding from us 50 plus years ago was a lot more advanced than anyone was even able to comprehend at the time. It still is. Imagine all the crooked, deviously disgusting tricks they have in their bloody sleeves, used just for spying on you and your children in these modern times. The camera and a microphone on every laptop and cell phone in your child's hand, your sisters, your brothers, fathers, and mothers, they have a grid of visual and audible spying sitting comfortably in your pocket as you read this. Doesn't matter if it's off, it still runs the tap. It runs deep. I mean, have you seen any intersection you've driven through? At least 4 in every fucking intersection. At least 4 cameras. And not just the traffic cameras that take your picture. There's spying cameras clearly posted on every light pole at every intersection, damn near. But tell us again how we have a right to privacy. It runs deep. You've seen CGI in the 90s, yes. Have you heard of deep fakes? No? Well, image or video editing software that can take a video of a completely different person entirely and attach your face to it digitally. So realistic, in fact, that it was coined with the term deep fake.